Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of B2B with Ross and Bella, where we take you behind the scenes of the music industry with the people that make it all happen. Today we have a very fun episode for you. We are going back to back with the one and only Monoky. As the resident DJ at Club Space, he has shared lineups with some of the biggest artists in the world. He has mastered the art of playing from dusk till dawn, and he's released his own tracks on some of the biggest labels like Elro and Club Sweat. He's the owner of his own label, Basica, and a very eclectic character that we're super excited to get to know. Enjoy the episode, guys. Okay, Monoky, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Very excited to have you here and get to know you a little bit more. As we had mentioned in our intro, you are a resident DJ at the iconic Club Space.
That is correct.
So, curious, how did you get that opportunity?
Ooh, that's a good question. I was living in LA, and I was a resident at Sound nightclub out there for 5 years or so, and I always had a good relationship with the owners of, well, they were at Trade then, the Link Miami Rebels. It's Davide, Link, Coloma, Lucas, and David Sinopoli. Every Music Week, I've been coming to Music Week for years now. A long time. And I used to stop and Trade, which they were running at that point in time, and they had recently gotten involved at Space. And during COVID happened, and things in LA kind of completely shut down, and COVID didn't happen in Florida. And so
it was unreal.
It was, yeah. I was playing house parties where everybody would get tested for COVID. During the downtime there, it was like pure, just, 18 people at a house party.
Yeah.
And I came out here, and there were just warehouses of 2,000 people.
Things were gone.
Things
were still going.
Yeah, it was still going.
Those were the strangest times.
It was so
the
weird.
random warehouse parties and
Weren't you still doing like bottle service and a full mask
No
and stuff
shit.
at that
yes,
point?
Yeah.
around COVID, I literally was still doing bottle service, and they were like, "Yeah, we're not shutting down. Show up with a mask." I literally got COVID that night. I was
Yeah.
like, "This maybe isn't a good idea."
Yeah, it was wild. And some people were getting kind of blacklisted for it if you were so it was all kind of like clandestine, but still it was happening here.
Yeah.
And so Space, who had like the ability to be open, but they were
They had a weird table set up.
there were
configuration.
pods.
Right.
Yeah, they were pods. And so before they could like fully open, they were doing pods, and they were doing live streams. And at that time, I was doing live streams with Blondish's Abracadabra, and we were doing like 60,000 viewers a night.
Crazy.
It was crazy. I would actually get home from being out and flip on the Twitch, and immediately at like 6 a.m. have 30,000 people watching. And I was
At
like,
what time? 6 a.m?
6 a.m. And then it would get up to like 65,000, 70,000 people.
Whoa.
And that was your first intro to like streaming?
That was my first intro to streaming.
Okay.
So sorry to tangent here, but
No,
we were like, I had all these things going. I was playing marathon sets because there were so many people. I was like, screw it. If there's an audience, I'll just keep playing.
Yeah.
And we did it. I was doing like 24 hours, 20 hours, 18 hours in consecutive weeks.
Wow.
For like 15 weeks I did it. And then they started getting DMCA'd, and they started moving us off of the front page. But during that time, we Space did a couple live streams, and we live streamed from the terrace. I did one with Malone, and then they started opening up with the pods, the pod table sections, yeah. And it was they were bringing in local talent to do it, and I had been doing the live streams with them, so they're like, do you want to do you want to play the Terrace? And I was like, this is
Hell yeah,
I mean,
I do.
in the U.S. that's like my mecca, like,
it's one of the best clubs, not only in the country but the
Yeah.
world. Like, it is truly renowned.
Yeah, and their attention to detail is amazing. Every little thing there is.
How is it working with, you mentioned sort of the owner group, right? The Colomas, the Sinopolis, the Lucases of the world. How is it working with those tastemakers? I feel like they're some of the best tastemakers in the industry.
That's it. That they are. They're all well traveled. They've been there. They've done it. They've been doing it for X amount of years, and they understand the culture.
Yeah.
And they understand building the culture. It's not just about putting butts in the seats or feet on the dance floor.
Putting bottles in hands.
Yeah, that's it. It's not about that.
Right.
They don't have all the flashiness. There's not all the strobe lights and lasers and stuff. It's about building a group and a culture that understands the music and enjoys the camaraderie of having a connection.
Yeah.
And then there's little things too. There's the sound and the food that's there. They're all
good.
foodies, so it's like the grilled cheese, the caviar,
the little ice cream cone.
the
ice
little
cream
ice.
cones.
Lucas handing out little ice cream
Yes.
cones
He
and
always has
caviar.
a new treat. I
The
love
fruit
when I
trays. That's actually
Yeah.
when we first met, was over a nice fruit tray.
Yeah. Oh God, the fruit trays. There is nothing better than like the like random pineapple at 8 a.m. when you've been there since
It hits different.
Yeah, it definitely hits different. Yeah, the coconuts, that kind of stuff. And it's just built a different culture where you're a family instead of it's a job, or like the ownership and the management is completely separate from the workers. It's not. Everybody there is there to support each other.
Right.
And you can see that go all the way down to the security, the front door people, the back end people that are doing advertising and HR and stuff. It's like
They're the best. I
Yes.
forget his name. The door guy at Floyd is
Oh my
such
God,
a character.
legend.
He's
Oh,
so
Alan.
funny.
Alan, yeah.
So
Absolute legend.
sweet.
Yeah.
I feel like anytime I'm going into Floyd, there's always an interaction with him that is just like so off the
It's
wall and
hilarious.
hilarious.
he is remarkable. He has this wealth of knowledge of music that's just insane. He had a loft sale where he was giving or selling or giving away old clothing that he had, which I was
I'm sure it was amazing.
The outfits are
Yeah.
absolutely insane.
amazing. His loft is so cool. And it's just like got this super rich history of music. And I go over there and on his floor, he has these like containers with just tapes, like mixtapes. And I was like, Alan, what are those? And he said, these are all recordings from Paradise Garage and all these old clubs from the literally 70s, 80s, and 90s. He's got like Frankie Knuckles and
Wow.
Larry Levan. Like,
Just OG shit. How do you get it?
I think he has like the soundboard recordings of them. He has the mixer recordings of them.
Wow.
Yeah, and I was there for 4 hours, and he not only does he have the tapes, but he has this wealth of knowledge where he can explain what was going on that night and like who was there.
Yeah.
And he sat there for 4 hours and just kept putting in new tapes, and he didn't play one bad song. It was and I'm Shazamming them, and they're all like white label, non-descriptive,
Yeah.
and they were awesome. And I was like, we need to digitize all
Yeah,
these.
I
you
need to
know?
play these in my sets.
Yes,
please.
yeah, exactly. I would love to rip all those. They were crazy. It was crazy, but he's that lends back to every they've taken in all accounts of like who needs to do what at the club, and just that history and culture that the door guy at Floyd has.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like
We're
ground up.
so lucky to
I know.
have it in our backyard. But so to any listener that maybe doesn't know Club Space, how describe it to us, paint the picture
For someone who's never been.
Okay. It is. That's me. I've never been. No. No.
Wait, how is that even possible?
Yeah.
We're talking to our engineer here who's never been to space, so I think
All right.
we know.
Well, perfect.
Okay,
So-
we're Instagram friends now. We'll roll out the red carpet for you. Yeah. Okay, so how do I explain it? It's a club, but it has many different feelings to it. There is the bottom floor, which is like a warehousey kind of vibe. We mentioned Floyd, which is a next door bar, which is kind of like, it's got David Lynch vibes. There's kind of a it looks like Twin Peaks kind of in there, but it's got great sound and it's super intimate setting. And then you have the terrace, which is the main attraction, and it's got an open floor plan. It's not like tables and bottle service everywhere. There's side VIP areas. And then there's a loft on the back side, which they have some events in that separate it. But that's kind of where if you don't want to... It's on the main terrace, it's open air, or kind of open air. It seems like it's open air.
It does. I thought space was open air.
Forever I
Did
did
it used to be
too.
open
Yeah.
air?
I think so.
There's this running
Myth.
thing
It's
that
a
people say where they're
legend.
like, "Oh, I remember when the ceiling used to open."
Yeah.
I've said this myself. I'm like, "Wait, was I actually just fucked up and I thought it
yes.
was, but it's just a painting of the clouds?"
I don't know, because I'm in the same boat.
Yeah,
I
I'm
feel
like,
like it was open, and there's definitely, you can see the sky.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, you
Right.
can
You
see
can
the sky.
see the sky.
You can see
Yeah,
the
yeah.
sky. There's also the sky painted on the ceiling, so it is a little.
Is it really?
I remember
I
a
think so.
time.
I think.
Yes, it is. But I remember a time where it would be like I would be looking at my clock waiting for the exact minute of sunrise because I was like, the ceiling opens up and the sun peeks in. But like,
I
is
feel like that happened.
Fake?
I feel like that happened. Even if it didn't, I'm just
It
going to
did to us.
assume. Okay,
We've all
yeah.
had the same
Yes.
experience.
Yeah.
That
So-
just goes to show it's a magical place.
Yeah,
You really
yeah.
don't know if
Place.
it's reality or
And
not.
the energy in there is just obviously the energy doesn't stop. It feels like the energy just progresses more and more throughout the night until you get to that sunrise. And when the sun comes up, it's just everyone's having the best time of their life.
That's the most magical time to be there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sunrise to noon on the long weekends when they have marathons, even in the afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, yeah, it's cool at night, but it's that. You know what happens is everybody becomes a giant group that's partying together.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And at first there's kind of some anxiety and people showing up and tourists getting there early, and it builds into kind of a whole group partying together. And there's good energy. There's amazing energy on the center dance floor, but there's a flow to it, and there's different sections which have different energies. Like
Yes.
One West is the VIP, and that's like your experienced partiers.
Yeah.
And,
It's so true.
yeah, and
I
then-
love
like
that you said that it starts with anxiety because there is a
Yeah.
journey when you go to space, and it definitely
Yes,
always does
it
start with
does.
anxiety for me. But it's funny because then you go through the journey, and then it's like the room off to the side is kind of where you go when you're a little too fucked up and you
Yep.
need to like regroup, and there's always creatures, and then
Always.
there's just such a funny like progression through space.
But the
Yeah.
way you articulated that as well, like how it comes together to be a family, it's one of the few venues where you get that sense of I can talk to anybody, my neighbor and my new dance partner, like, and they're
actually
going to be
make
a cool
lasting
person and
friendships.
make lasting friendships. I've made absolutely some of
Yeah.
my best friends in the world there.
I met you there.
Yeah. I met you
Yeah,
there. Met
yeah.
Phil there. Shout out Phil.
Oh, no way.
Our
Yeah.
mutual, yeah.
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 So
I
yeah, it's
love
a special place. But you said something about marathons. You know, that's definitely something that you're not new to. In fact, you're truly the master of the marathon. So I know you've been sober for over a decade now.
Yeah.
What are your tips for staying up and keeping that energy throughout the night?
That's a good question. Also kind of Cali sober a little bit. I've delved into some psychedelics here and there. No alcohol for I
No
think
booze.
close to 13 years.
Wow.
Last week actually.
Congrats, that's amazing.
Yeah, thank you. Which was a little weird transitioning into, and now it's just like I don't even think about it.
Right.
You know, it's I didn't think if I was DJing sober that I could connect with an audience, but it's actually been the opposite of that, where I can get a great read, I can feel the energy coming back, and it's not artificially stimulated for me, where I'm like, I'm playing the best shit.
And you could not be receiving that vibe back. Like, you're not actually.
Yeah, exactly.
You're not the first person that I've heard say that. I've heard lots of artists say that they were kind of relying on booze or drugs for their sets and kind of just like to handle that anxiety of being on stage. But then once they were sober, it was so much better than what they were anticipating. And now it's almost like they prefer to be sober when they're up there.
I would 100% prefer to be sober up there, because it's you can get into the groove. You can actually feel the music, and part of a DJ set is reading the energy of the room, seeing what works, taking that feedback and changing it up. You know, going down certain avenues that are working, and be able to build off of that into a group vibe. And when you're fucked up, it's like everything works. You know, you can be up there jamming, especially for me. I DJ for myself, you know, like I don't play the same. I need new music, and I play to make myself groove, and I'm hoping everybody grooves off of that energy and feels that energy. And it's not like reciprocated when you're fucked up and you're just playing for yourself, but you're enjoying everything.
Right.
You know? Yeah.
So are you a mocktail guy? Are you a microdose kind of guy?
No.
What are you doing?
So the one thing I always missed out on was like cheersing with other people.
True.
You know. So I started getting into mocktails. I started getting into ginger shots when everybody's doing shots.
Nice.
Yeah. And I started drinking non-alcoholic beer, which is kind of funny. I shotgunned an athletic brew the other day in my set.
Athletic brew.
You know what's funny? I will get to a point at Space sometimes, or at various venues, where I'm a little too fucked up, and I know I'm a little too fucked up because I'll look down and I'll be drinking like a Heineken Zero, and somebody will be like, "You're drinking a Heineken Zero." I'm like, "No, I'm not." Like, completely unknowing, just sipping on a Zero, thinking it's a normal beer.
It's probably better at that point.
Yeah.
Oh man, quick tangent. When I was in college, I took a girl to a date party, and she got a little fucked up, and so she kept wanting to drink beers. So we got the non-alcoholic beers, and we scratched off the non, so they said alcoholic beers. And we just kept giving it. That's what she drank the rest of the night. Yeah,
She's like, "Whoa."
Alcoholic beer. Like what beer says alcoholic beer?
Yeah. Oh man. With you know, being a Space resident, you're not oftentimes playing that main headlining slot. Rather, you're opening or closing down the night. Do you have a preference on opening versus closing? Do you like one more than the other?
That's such a good question. Because that's free. Like, that's something that I think about. I mean, there's nothing better than closing the terrace. It's just, it's you can come in with energy. You can give the crowd the energy.
Right.
But there is something special about opening. You know, they're going from literally an empty room to building a party.
Right.
It's a different skill set. You gotta. For me, sometimes I have to play out of my element to start, because I'm playing either super minimal or super light house, and I'm 123, and you're dealing with what we just touched on, the people with anxiety at the beginning of the night. What's my night going to be like? You know, and you're taking that energy and you're twisting it and molding it into a party. So you have to start from nothing and build.
You're sculpting the night.
Yes. Yeah. It's a harder set to play, kind of. It's, you know, for me, it's a harder set to
Right.
play because you're literally taking it from nothing and building it into something. But then the closing sets are just, you're taking what energy the headliner had and
You can run with it.
You can run with it,
You're
yeah.
still in that absolute party vibe. And
Yeah.
closing it down.
yeah, exactly.
It's
When
interesting.
you do either the opener or the closing set, are you usually there for like hours before or after kind of partying, or do you
guys are
just show up
nailing
and
it. Yeah,
dip?
these are all good questions. Yeah.
We're just so curious about like what it's like.
I know.
Well, I used to, for let's say for a closing set, I used to get there super early, like 3 hours, because I didn't feel like I would have the personal energy if I didn't ride the wave with other people. But what I found when I was doing that was I was running out of gas like 3/4 way through my set because I was just tired,
Yeah.
you know. Because these sets start at 6, 7 a.m. and will go to 11 noon,
Easy.
something like that. You know, you're playing for 4 hours and everybody else has been partying and their energy's dwindling. So you need to inject more energy into everybody. And now I'll come an hour before. I'll sleep. I'll go to bed at 10 p.m., wake up at 5, head over there at 5.
I mean, that's good.
Yeah.
7 hours of sleep at
Yeah,
that
yeah.
point. I feel like you're good to sort of ride the
7
night.
hours you can function. off of.
100%. And for anybody who maybe hasn't been to space, that is the way to do it. Get
Yeah.
some sleep before, show up 3, 4, 5, 6 a.m. and,
Yeah,
and
that's
just enjoy the morning.
That's it.
We might be ripping that this
I think we
weekend
have to.
for Marco's
Yeah, that's
birthday.
my
Marco
that's my flow
Prola's
too.
birthday.
Yep.
24 hours send. Yeah, I do think we have to.
But then there's an alternate side to that, is that the space residents and everybody that's playing support for the main guy are some of the best sets you could ever see, you know.
Right.
So
Oh yeah.
a lot of times I'll go early and skip middle and stay late,
Right.
kind of, or come back late. I live across the street, so it's like
He
yeah.
lives there.
Yeah.
So to switch lanes a little bit here, we did some research beforehand, and I came across an article that said you sold a couple tech startups back in your day.
Oh man,
Is this true? Did you go from tech startup to tech house?
I worked in tech like straight out of college. It was I can't believe you found that.
Okay, but what we found was literally it was like celebritynetworth.com.
Yeah.
And you if true, you have a lot of money. And it said that you also collect folk art, and like I couldn't tell if it was like a friend played a joke on you and wrote this article, or if it was actually real information.
I don't know what that article is. I don't know.
You
who
know
wrote
about it,
that.
though?
Yeah, I know about it. Yeah,
That's too funny.
I'll leave it there.
Yeah, 100%. That's outrageous.
That is hilarious. Okay, well, so you can't tell us anything about these businesses?
I mean, I worked in real estate out of college, and I did some tech stuff. I was actually talking about that earlier today with one of my friends, Erica, the DJ, and I kind of translated that back to the music industry now because I went for an interview at Google when they had 8 people.
Holy
and
shit.
Yeah, it was crazy times. But the weird thing, the way that it merged back with the music talk was, I felt like at the time that it had peaked. You know, I thought the internet had peaked. I'm old.
It's a fad.
Yeah, it felt like everybody had done everything. This is 2002, I think, and it was like, oh, you know, the internet's been around for 6-7 years at this point. What, like non-dial-up? I don't know if it was still dial-up. When I was in no, we had Ethernet when I was in college.
We're talking old school stuff
Fuck,
here.
God, I'm dating myself so bad.
We
I'm like, we
appreciate the
still used
knowledge.
rotary phones.
Yeah, dial up. We appreciate the knowledge.
Yeah, for real.
But it felt like everything had peaked and we had seen the top and everybody had done everything. And now when I look at the underground music scene, the house, deep house, techno, that kind of stuff, it feels like everybody's done everything, but we're actually like just taking off right now.
Yeah.
We're just seeing, I mean, kind music trending on TikTok and that whole thing. And
it's becoming more and more mainstream.
And I saw an interesting interview 10, 15 years ago with Carl Cox. And he was saying that he didn't mind all the people coming in and being introduced to electronic music through EDM and dubstep, because what would end up happening was these people would, not to say that it's bad music, but would tangent off of that EDM and dubstep and find their niches going left into harder techno.
That's exactly how it was for us.
Or going right and hitting deep house and Afro house. And I used to spin a lot of Afro house 6-7 years ago, and I was like, and then I saw it dwindle a little bit, and I was like, oh man, Afro house is kind of dying. Like that energy is not there anymore.
Absolutely not dead.
It's never been more alive.
No, it's great. Yeah, it's wild because my promo sites where I'll get music from are all now what used to be full tech house and techno, melodic techno, is now like 90% Afro house and melodic techno.
Yeah. A lot of producers are literally taking any sample and like laying it over an Afro house beat, like and like
Nicki Minaj Afro house remix.
Actually, which I don't love, but
I know.
But that's out of necessity, I think, because along with introducing all these new people in, there's a younger audience. I think the attention span has
100%. The TikTok attention span.
Yeah, and like that Mr. Beast YouTube attention, where it's literally, it's nonstop action. So you need breakdowns and build-ups and drops and vocals to keep the attention. And I actually think that that's something that to segue back to space is you can play the deeper stuff, you can play the groove kind of stuff, and you don't need to just constantly barrage them with build-ups, drops, breaks. And I think it gives a new I think that building a groove is actually harder than building, just keeping the attention span kind of thing.
You've been around in the scene, right? You're a veteran of the game, 100% through and through. Like, you've definitely seen these different eras. How would you explain like our current era? What's the current landscape of dance music right now?
I mean, there's a bunch of different scenes you can get into. There's still different clubs that throw different vibes, but you're seeing now where house parties are house music and deep house, and you're all over the place. The cool parties are all doing house music.
Frat parties.
Yeah, the frat parties are doing house music.
Oh, yeah.
But there was, for years now, that scene has now been molded from like Burning Man, people going to Tulum and Mykonos and Ibiza, and there's a lot of money behind it now, and people want to be part of that scene. You're seeing, like The Weeknd just dropped a record with Justice, did a bunch of it.
Is that what dropped on Friday?
I think so, yeah.
I didn't listen to it. We got to listen to that.
Even like Drake is incorporating, the kind music, Drake production collaboration.
Kanye West.
Gordo is producing a a lot of tracks with
Drake. He did Drake stuff.
Yeah, it's really, really...
Gustavo Scene and Brodinski did Kanye's like album 10 years ago or something. Yeah, so it's starting to move. Yeah, they did all those like dirty beats on there. But the pop culture is kind of not shifting, but it's being infiltrated by the electronic music scene.
It's going to be really interesting to see where it goes, because I sort of get that feeling as well. It's like it's as big as it can be, and we're at the mountaintop, but obviously not. It's just a trajectory up.
Yeah, I think it's still building.
Mention being like fresh into the 21st century, feeling like the internet was maxed out in terms of capability, right?
I'm not that old, people.
We are using AI for everything and totally in a new era of technology, right? With the capabilities that we have. What's your relationship with AI, and how do you feel like AI is going to impact the music industry in the future?
It's wild, actually. I've been doing a ton of work in AI with large language models and building my own neural networks and stuff. Yeah, that's a side business I'm
so cool.
doing. Yeah. And it's wild how integrated this is going to become. I just made a track this past week, and I used Busta Rhymes' vocals on it, but to have it re-sung and repurposed so that I can have it cleared, I can run the vocals through AI, and they're re-sung and they're essentially reworked in the mind.
Right. So it really helps with producing, I'm sure.
It helps
stems,
big time. Yep.
Making new stems.
Yeah, there's also crazy plugins and stuff. Oh, sorry. There's also crazy plugins and stuff that you can say pull stems from tracks, and it's super clear. Like I can drag a bass line out of a track using AI.
And how long would that take you previously? Like hours of work, or?
Yeah, because you'd have to filter out certain frequencies and pull it so it doesn't warp to different BPMs, and you'd get if you switched up the pitch, you'd have kind of squeakiness, or it would full out change the BPMs on it. And now it's kind of all done with AI. It's
so
wild.
Amazing. There's just so many use cases outside of the music industry as well, obviously. I heard that Busta Rhymes edit that you're working on. It was on your story,
nasty. right?
Yeah, it's so filthy, dude. I want to hear that one in the flesh.
Yeah, it's so nasty. I'm cleaning it up right now, but I took a little hiatus from releasing music, not because of anything going on. I released so much over the course of like 6 years. I was finishing 3 tracks a week and releasing a couple a month. And so I didn't see like any immediate, like follower growth and new gigs and stuff like that. And so I kind of was like, okay, I'm going to concentrate more on my craft than producing, and now I'm getting back into it. And so I have a track coming out on February 21st, and that one's turned out really nasty. It's called Don't You Care, and it's always weird for me to play my own tracks live. It's like the one time I still get anxiety when playing, because it's like I'm making tracks at home and only listening to it myself. Yeah. And like sometimes some record labels will listen to it. Sometimes I'll throw it out for feedback, but mostly I'm just in my house, in my studio, making tracks for myself and being like,
that feedback loop isn't there.
It's not, no. So it's such a weird sensation to just hit play on your own track and send it out into the world and see if it works. And the one that's coming out has just been, it's been highlights of some of my sets.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah, I'm sure that's great. Like confirmation. What label is that coming out on?
My own label, Basica.
Amazing.
So, yeah.
Well, very exciting. Obviously, on the AI front, sounds really interesting and stuff. But continuing down this vein of technology, obviously one of the other waves that's sort of ushering us into the future is crypto. And we know you're an avid crypto boy. Can you tell us a little bit about Dick Butts?
Oh, my God.
Please.
In Goochland?
Yeah. Holy shit. So I got involved in crypto super early. And
jealous.
Yeah. I mean, it's been some wild rides, but the problem is that the NFT space is kind of dying. It was hot for a long time, but I got involved with Crypto Dick Butts early on and part of their community, and I own a bunch of them. And they're actually honestly bucking the trend of NFTs and like going up in
They're
value
still
right
thriving,
now.
really?
Yeah, they're
That's
doing
like
fine. Yeah,
a huge edge case then.
yeah, yeah. Kind of an outlier in the situation, but I'm part of the community and we do events. And,
Really?
And so, yeah.
What do you have to own one to like be part of the community essentially?
Yeah.
Okay.
You have to show your dick butt at the door.
Yeah.
We need to see your dick butt later. For
Yeah.
Sure.
Oh man.
We'll insert a
but-
picture of his dick butt into the pod.
Yeah.
To someone like me who really like is a noob with all this crypto stuff, like explain it. Like it's just this digital value that you hold that's named dick butt.
Well, gosh, I haven't had to do the elevator speech on NFTs in forever. That was kind of,
No, so I know what an NFT is, but it's like, so what made like what drew you
it.
to this specific one? Like, what made you feel confident enough to get involved with it and put your money into it?
Man, I went to a conference in New York, like 4 years ago when it was kind of in its peak, and I was asked to play a dick butt private event, and I went, and it was like just the best community and the best people, and and then I went to another, like the main, like the big party there that was shoot, I can't even. Oh, the Bored Apes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
The big one.
Yeah, shit, I can't remember anything. And it was such kind of standoffish, weird energy, and I was like, okay, I know where to put my money. And
The dick butt vibes way better.
Oh,
way better than the ape
way
vibes.
better. Yeah, way better community. But I mean, things have kind of moved away from that now, and there's other things that are going on. Solana's kind of blown up, and it's Bitcoin's at 100K now.
Crazy.
It's wild.
I mean, it's only gonna appreciate. Like, what do you think? What's it's not a crypto podcast. You think it's gonna get to 1 million in your lifetime?
I don't know. I mean, the president having his own pump and dump was kind of
So crazy. I really wish he didn't do that. Like, I just
It
thought
hurt.
that it brought like a bad opinion and sentiment
big time.
to crypto in general, especially
Big
the
time.
day before he took office or whatever.
Yeah, it's wild, man. I'm in a group chat with a lot of the big crypto players, and they I mean, a lot of them got a big piece of that and got out because they understood what was going to happen. It was pretty obvious that it was going to be a pump and dump, but in the short run, it looked cool. In the long run, it's probably a really bad thing.
They all are.
Yeah,
I mean, maybe
yeah.
not NFTs and dick butts. Well, some of them, but yeah, a lot of them are pump and dumps.
Yeah. But that was wild. And they did multiple coins, the Melania coin.
I know.
Yeah.
Baron's going to get one
Baron
soon.
had
Baron
one.
coin.
No, he had one.
Oh, he did?
Yeah, Eric had one. I think
The
Junior
suitcase
did something.
Yeah, suitcase coin.
Yeah, wow, it was bad. Yeah.
So you went to college at Northwestern, right?
Yep.
Okay, I went to Loyola Chicago, so I was right a little south of you in Rogers Park.
Loyola, the happiest college on the planet, right?
Yeah,
I think so. I
very-
think it keeps
very-
getting voted like in
Does
the
it?
top 10.
Does
Yeah,
it?
yeah.
I mean, it was
According to
a
you, that
great
checks out.
experience. It does check out. Really cool. I mean, but Chicago holds a special spot, I'm sure, in your heart,
Big
just like
time.
it does mine. What do you think it is about Chicago and house music? Obviously, it originated there, but like, what do you think it is? What's in the water there that just continues to have Chicago be a staple?
We used to go down to Grant Park, and there would be every Wednesday night, like Frankie Knuckles would be playing in Grant Park, and it was like a whole thing, and all these guys would play there, and there was such an amazing scene for me back. God, I'm dating myself again. Throughout the 2000s, you could see Green Velvet playing at Soundbar I think it was Soundbar every Tuesday night.
Wow. Wow.
Derek Carter would play his party every week, and the
Legends.
Yeah,
Legend.
The local spots were so fire, and they were all house music, and Calendar and Mix and Mark and these guys. We used to go to Crowbar and Terry Bristol and Psycho Bitch would be playing there. It was such an amazing scene. And that again, this harks back to the old thing of building culture. There was such an amazing underground culture, and there were parties that would go all night throughout the night, and it just kind of was a feeling of community. It was a feeling of belonging, which is such a need for the human spirit in general, and that has not gone away. Like, it's still there. The scene there is it's still a little bit
it's a bit bigger room these
days. It's bigger room,
right.
Big room, lots of vocals, big energy. It's different than the scene down here, which is a lot of percussion and Latin vocals and stuff. There's a lot of that. For me, if you don't play percussion in Miami, you'll lose the energy of the audience.
Really?
Yeah. And for Chicago, if you don't play big, you'll lose the room easily. Yeah.
So interesting. The Latin vocals, though, you hit the nail on the head there.
Yeah.
The city loves some Latin vocals.
I play so many Latin vocals, and I at this point, I'm kind of trying to get away from that a little bit, because it's 75% of the tracks that I'm getting as promos have Latin vocals in them now. Yeah, it's big. I don't know what drove that, but it's there. It's full there. Yeah. And for me producing, I've been trying to skew away from that, because you run into them all the time and they sound good.
Yeah.
But
they're like comforting. They're like warm.
Yeah.
They're warm. They're my mamacitas.
Yeah. I have no idea what they're saying.
I know.
I'm
such a gringo. I know nothing. It's so bad. I need to be better with that. But
yeah, I still can't even get a coffee here without sugar, because I'm like,
dude, I can't do anything. I can't
sin
take an Uber.
azúcar, and they're like, si azúcar, and I'm like, no, sin, isn't that like without?
Yeah, we need to brush up on our Spanish.
Oh, big time.
skills.
Yeah.
No hablo español. We're working on it. So back to Chicago a little bit. Like, were you only there for those 4 years that you went to college?
No, I was there for those 4 years, and then I graduated and lived in the Gold Coast for 8 years or something. That's when I did real estate in Chicago. But I used to bring a backpack with my computer, which had virtual DJ on it, which was like the old, and I had every single aux cord like available at the time, and I would plug in at any party, we'd be in taxis, and I'd be plugging my computer in, and I'd be DJing. And
give me a shot, coach.
Yeah, that's it. I would play everything. And when I moved to LA, I did the same thing. I played at the Playboy Mansion. I plugged in. I was just plugged in to like the game room sound system. Yeah.
You like find the aux cord yourself?
Yeah. Oh, I had every adapter. I had every power cord, because I'd be showing up at these parties and it'd be like a Saudi prince, and they'd only have, for some reason the technology there would have like European plugs or Middle Eastern plugs.
Gotta be
something.
prepared. That's
What
the
was
key.
that? What was that like? The Playboy House Mansion experience?
Yeah. So I don't know. I got invited to a couple parties there when Hef was still alive, and we'd play that, and the neighbors would invite us to their house in Holmby Hills, and we'd play that. I randomly was just watching The Girls Next Door and yesterday, and which is so random, but saw a bunch of people that I had been acquaintances with at the mansions, of all the workers and stuff. It was a scene. Yeah.
This is when you were living in LA.
When I lived, so I moved to LA from Chicago in 2008 when the housing market collapsed, because I had been doing real estate, and I lived at the Standard Hotel there for like 6 months and just played ping pong every day. It was...
Did you hear the Standard in Miami is going bye-bye?
No.
Yeah.
Oh,
I heard like in
Oh,
2026.
That's
I
a
don't.
rumor.
Yeah, they say that about
could be
space
a
too.
vicious
Space is
rumor.
closing.
That
every
was a
year.
vicious rumor. The space closing rumor. That one got me good.
People
Yeah.
love to just tell you that the things you love are going away.
Yeah, right. Right.
I don't think the Standard's closing. If it does, though, that's horrible because it is an institution.
I know. It is an institution.
Yeah.
So we are so excited to have you playing our official launch party, February 22nd at the Esme Hotel rooftop. What can we expect out of your set on the 22nd?
That new release?
Man.
We
yeah,
want
that,
yeah.
dude. That's actually a good question. I'm gonna make a bunch of music. I'm gonna bring a bunch of new music, and we're gonna go vibey on the rooftop at the Esme.
Let's have a banger.
We got who else is playing that night?
So we have 7 hours of music. We're starting with 2-hour back-to-back special little vinyl set through sunset. Then our boy from First Reef, Addison, is gonna play for an hour.
Dope.
A local Miami DJ, Jason Shapiro, like some organic melodic house, and then he's gonna go back-to-back with our friend Josie, also amazing.
The J2J.
Hell yeah, the J2J.
Yeah.
Josie is amazing. She just played Do Not Sit and threw down. It was a blast.
We were like, can you bottle that set up and please bring it?
Yeah.
Just play the same set.
The music will be certainly on point.
Yeah.
And then we have you. So I'm really, really
Golden.
excited.
That rooftop is dope too. It's got good sound.
It
Hell
does.
yeah.
Oh, they were walking us through all of the sound, the whole sound system and everything. It's just gonna be amazing. Some production. We're gonna bring some
we're
lasers
super,
and
super
stuff.
excited.
The best
Good
people
drinks,
too.
Best people.
Good people. Good
There's some bites
music.
up there.
It's going to be a blast.
Yeah, it is.
I'm very excited for that. Woo! Launch party.
Launch party. We're
Launch
launching.
party.
I love throwing a party. It's going to be so
Yes.
fun. I'm really looking forward to that. So I want to tell you a little something about what we do here on our pod. It's
Please.
called the Explain This segment.
Oh no.
And basically, we have an image and just give us some context on the picture.
God. What did you guys pull up?
It's not too bad. Nothing
All
will
right.
Like
really
it's me
compare
in
to what
like
happened with
it's
West
me
End.
in hot pants.
So how did you end up with this cast of characters?
Oh wow. Okay.
Not only Scott Storch, but also Mike Tyson and your boy.
I have a
Monoky.
buddy who's a poker player, and I play his birthday party every year, and he flew me out to Vegas, and I played like 3 hours with Scott Storch.
Shut up.
He got busted out his keyboard. It was insane, actually. He busted out his keyboard, and I was playing some background tracks, or he actually gave me a USB that had the beats on it, and then he played the keyboard, and it's insane what that guy has made.
Yeah.
He's a good dude too. He just sits and smokes weed the
All
whole
day.
time, all day. And then he busts out on his keyboard, forgot about Dre and
The songs he's produced it's insane.
he's got like Nelly tracks, and I think so. He's ridiculous. Every track he played was a certified banger of like the maximum of the capacity of a banger. Like you're like, and it's his keyboard is so distinctive that it's wild. And then Tyson just showed up out of nowhere.
Also,
there were a bunch of people like that just showed up out of nowhere.
I'm sure Tyson was getting down in the weed as well.
Yeah.
What was he like?
He's a trip. I think he's done a lot of DMT too.
He's done a lot of everything.
Yeah. But
He's filmed a podcast in this very
Yeah,
room.
Oh, no
he's
actually.
shit.
been
Yeah.
lighting up a J in here,
Yeah,
I
he
think.
has.
yeah.
So we heard.
The no smoking sign. He's the only one that doesn't apply to.
Yeah, right. But my buddy who does all that is, it's such a trip to play for those kind of guys, because it's just anybody can show up.
Yeah, you're in front of some serious talent. Well, we just want to thank you again for coming in. We're excited for the launch party set.
Yeah. What else is coming up for you?
Yeah.
We got Music Week coming up very shortly, which should be good. I'm playing some pool parties and doing some stuff with Space. So Music Week, and then I got releases coming up, so I'm gonna put some focus into that.
Are they all going to be on your label? Or?
No, I got one. I have another one that's gonna come out on Desert Hearts.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Those are fun guys.
Those are very fun guys.
Yeah, they're great. They're great.
If
Porky was
people-
just at Space a couple weeks ago.
I love,
Porky's
I love
hilarious.
Porky.
Yeah.
He's so funny.
We actually really want to get them on here. So
Yeah,
if you're
that'd be-
seeing
yeah.
this, come
Yeah.
on the pod.
And if anybody wants to send music to you or anything, how can they get it to you?
Yeah, Monoky DJ at gmail.com. I get demos and everything there, and I go through everything. I've actually been kind of helping a couple guys get their music out as well, because I've been doing it forever. I have all the connections, I have all the contacts, so I've been doing some feedback. I get a lot of some coaching, which is cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure
Nice.
that's really helpful.
Well, very excited to see you play at the party, and it was a
Yes.
pleasure getting to know you. To the listeners, thank you as always for tuning in and for all the support. Remember to share this with your friends, like, subscribe, all the things, and Ooski out.
Ooski out.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.